Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. Prime Minister Modi has sat down and spoken extensively to our sister publication Money Control on India's G20 presidency and how India is hoping to shape itself as the voice of the global south. But he also spoke about domestically resonant issues, particularly in the run-up to 2024. He said 10 years ago, when the country first elected him as Prime Minister in 2014, not many people knew him outside of Gujarat. And yet, the people of India gave him a huge mandate, the kind of which we hadn't seen in 30 years for a single-party government. Now, he says, in the 10 years that he's been in office in New Delhi, the country has got to know him. We've seen him through various achievements of the nation, whether it is right at the end of Chandrayaan, whether it is through the state visit to the United States back in June. So he says, and he's confident, that in 2024, because of what people have seen of his government and his governance over the last 10 years, they will give him a bigger mandate. So is Mr. Modi pitching the battle for 2024 as one between a stable, mazboot sarkar on the one side versus what he calls a khichdi coalition on the other?
I think it's a great sign that the world recognizes that the developing nations will be the engine of growth for the future.
Inflation in the numbers may be different for Prime Minister. Still, Prime Minister lives in Delhi only, therefore only he is unable to understand the pain of the rural India.
I think macros are improving and I fully in agreement with the statement that India was able to or has been able to manage the macros much better, particularly on the inflation front.
अब भारत में महंगाई रोकनी है तो आपको विदेशी देशों की मदद लेनी पड़ेगी. ये तो पहला नया फार्मूला हम नरेंद्र मोदी जी के जुबान से सुन रहे हैं.
We need not look at the G20 presidency as only a short-term influence on economic growth, but it is more likely to lead to a confluence of positivities for the Indian economy that might actually provide or propel the growth on the higher side and in a more sustainable sort of fashion.
बड़े-बड़े देश US हो या UK हो या यूरोप हो या चाइना हो, कैसे वो असफल रहे अपनी इकोनॉमी को मैनेज करने में, और या तो वो आज स्लो डाउन कर रहे हैं ग्रोथ में या हाई इन्फ्लेशन के दौर से गुजर रहे हैं.
Inflation had come down to 9 years. He says that we are taking steps to bring down inflation. 9 years what they were doing.
There are a lot of economic payoffs and benefits in terms of access to markets, in terms of the ease of doing business in other countries.
India is showing leadership on, for example, if you see some of the changes coming through on the global regulation of crypto assets, on how and at least trying to build a consensus around the issue of climate financing. So these are long-term issues.
All right, so in that exclusive interview to Money Control, this was the big message by the Prime Minister on the road to 2024. He said, in 2014, no one knew me, but I still got a huge mandate. He goes on to say that in 10 years, people have seen a little bit of me everywhere. He specifically referred to the Chandrayaan mission. He talked about the recent state visit to the United States. People know me well after the US visit and the success of the Chandrayaan mission. He also went on to say that this massive growth that the country has seen under his prime ministership has been because of political stability, because of having a strong sarkar at the center. He also has said that people have placed unprecedented trust in him and his government. In the last 9 years, the economy, education, infrastructure have all seen major reforms, from banking reforms to economic reforms, indirect taxes in the form of GST. He also says that the idea of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, which has been followed domestically, now can be included in India's foreign policy as well. He also went on to add that he has no doubt that in 2024 as well, the people of India will choose wisely. So the Prime Minister sort of laying down the terms, positing the narrative, if you will, of how 2024 is going to be shaped. On the one hand, this strong, mazboot sarkar. which has seen economic reforms, which has pushed through very, very difficult challenges, whether it is Jan Dhan accounts, whether it is toilets under Swachh Bharat, and of course, the digital public infrastructure that's been built, including now the physical infrastructure in the form of national highways. And two, on the other side, what he's calling a rebranded UPA, a coming together of 20-odd parties who maybe on paper are strong, arithmetically, no doubt about it, but the only reason they are coming together is to oust Narendra Modi from power and the BJP from power. Let me now bring in our guests. Sanju Verma is national spokesperson of the BJP. Meeta Chakrabarti is spokesperson of the Congress Party. Krishna Hegde is spokesperson of the Shiv Sena, of the Shinde faction, and Riju Datta, spokesperson of the TMC, joining us. Sanju Verma, again, in the interview to Money Control, the Prime Minister sort of laid out the achievements of his government domestically and why he believes on the basis of that, his government will get a third term. He also, and this is the subtext, is firmly of the belief that the age and era of coalition politics is over in this country. The country has seen a strong, mazboot sarkar over the last 9 years, and the mood for continuance of that mazboot, strong sarkar is more than a sort of hankering back to the 90s or the early 2000s when we had coalition governments.
You know, Zaka, first and foremost, congratulations to your group and to moneycontrol.com, specifically speaking, for that outstanding interview. One thing which is very common to all the speeches and utterances by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the public domain are the fact that he keeps reinforcing the concept of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, and Sabka Prayas. And for everybody out there in the opposition who's quick to dismiss this as just another jumla, you have a lot to learn, because you were dismissive of the Prime Minister in 2014 saying, "Arey, ye to tukkebazi hai." Maybe he just won, but this is a one-off victory. It will not be repeated in 2019. And guess what? In 2019, the BJP-led NDA came back with an even stronger mandate, and how. And come 2024, it is going to be an encore. It's going to be a repeat. We'll come back with a bigger mandate because we have a track record of the last 9 years which speaks volumes about the fact that the Prime Minister has walked the talk when it comes to A, physical infrastructure, B, digital infrastructure, C, physical inclusion, D, political stability, E, financial stability, F, structural reforms, G, being the leader of the global south in more ways than one. And I can just go on and on and on. The list is endless.
Okay.
But I think the most important point is this. There has been a narrative, Zaka, in the last couple of years that Narendra Modi has been successful only because of the Tina factor. There is no other alternative to Modi. Is it true? Perhaps partially so. But I think, as they say in Hindi, ye public hai, ye sab janti hai. You can fool some people all the time. You cannot fool all the people all the time. And my simple submission before I end, what I think is a bit of a verbal speech is this, that be Jan Dhan Yojana, where 67% of the beneficiaries are from rural and semi-urban areas, with 56% of the beneficiaries being women, be the 11 crore plus toilets making Swachh Bharat the biggest sanitation scheme globally, be it Mudra Yojana, where 8 crore people have taken loan for the first time ever and are today self-employed, and Mudra Yojana has converted a whole lot of people from job seekers to job creators. The limited point is this. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not unleashed incremental reforms because of political stability, because of the thumping majority, because he knows that in 2019, if it was 23 crore voters which voted for the NDA, even at a 50 or 16% growth, we will get a 27 or 28 crore vote base, which is naturally ours.
So let me ask Meeta Chakrabarti of the Congress, what the subtext of what the Prime Minister has told Money Control is, people have seen me and people have seen the development that my government has ushered in over the last 9 years, whether it is physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure, all these structural reforms, the banking reforms, etc. And no one in India wants to go back or hanker back to the days of coalition politics. They have tasted the strong, decisive, Mazboot Sarkar. No one wants to go back to the 1990s as India's polity unfolded at that time. How will you respond to that, ma'am?
Okay, good evening to all the fellow panelists and good evening to all your viewers. Firstly, of course, the people have seen what has happened in the past 9 years. People have seen also the economic GDP growth rate during UPA 1 and UPA 2. One of the reasons why UPA 2 was given the mandate that it was given was because of the economic performance of UPA 1 government under Dr. Manmohan Singh. People have seen the economic liberalization that has taken place in the 1990s as well. People are also experiencing high inflation rate. I think across the last year, it's about 7.4%. And the high unemployment rate remains a concern, which is about 7.93%. Now, having said that, the India Alliance or the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance has been formed, which represents close to 60% of people's mandate, even if you go by the 2019 election results. And yes, of course, then all these parties, all these constituent 28 political parties were not fighting it together, have been formed to give a realistic alternative to the people of India. We are not here only to oppose one Mr. Narendra Modi. Yes, Mr. Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of the country, is the tallest leader of the BJP. So yes, he would be there definitely on the target. But however, we are here to give an alternative socio-economic vision to the people of India. We are here to talk about as how we are going to strengthen the SME sectors, how we are going to create more jobs, how we are going to bring down the inflation, how we are going to bring down the unemployment rate. We have an alternative vision, and the way we are approaching it, be it the formation of the media team, be it the formation of the campaign team, social media team, the research team that is supposed to come up with a common minimum program or a common manifesto, our entire approach is based on our alternative vision that we are going to place to the people of India. And of course, the people of India need to make their choice.
Yeah, of course. Let them decide which of these two visions they want to vote for. But Riju Datta, one of the biggest points of attack against this government from the opposition has been on inflation. And the Prime Minister spoke about it in the interview to Money Control, where he said during COVID, the temptation, and many countries fell for this, was to print more money. Because they printed more money, they are now dealing with unsustainable levels of debt, they are dealing with record inflation, and that because India did not do that, did not fall into that temptation, and because all the monies that were available were put into COVID management, today he says inflation is much more manageable. Had India done what European countries did or what the United States did, this inflation would have perhaps been in double digits.
Zaka, we have a multifaceted Prime Minister, so I guess he is now, he has got a substantial knowledge of economics as well, so all good to him. But the topic of discussion today is the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, and my counterpart Sanju ji has said he has walked the talk. Now for your viewers, I will mention 5 points where he has walked the talk, where he has promised to the people of India, I will bring back black money. I will make sure bullet trains run in this country. I will double farmers' income. I will make sure every person in this country have pakka houses by 2022. And last but not the least, what did he say? He said that I will make sure that we have a women's reservation bill. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is my biggest target. So how he has walked the talk is in front for the viewers and the people of India to decide. Now coming to the main issues. Politics is of perception and optics, but the main issues that trouble the voters that are going to decide whether Prime Minister Modi will come back again or whether he will leave his chair are the skyrocketing prices of medicine, of vegetables, of daily usage, things that we need for daily usage, rampant corruption that is there in the market, inflation, communal tension, border disputes. People are fighting over everything.
No, but Riju Datta, can I finish, please, Zaka? One second. Can I finish, please? No, I just want to finish, please. Yeah. Just hear me out. The Prime Minister in that interview is saying that had we printed money during COVID, this would have been far worse. And you can look at, the examples of countries around the world, including in the United States, where the Federal Reserve, the central bank there has raised rates multiple times with the singular objective of trying to bring down inflation.
No, see, if I go into this, world tour now, then I have to compare United States and India on multiple issues. I don't want to go down that line. I will be vehemently critic of my Prime Minister because we are voters of India and we will vote for our Prime Minister. The country has reached the moon. The Prime Minister has gone to Jakarta today. Even today, is Manipur not a part of this country?
Zaka.
Manipur is still burning, Zaka, you know it, and the Prime Minister couldn't even find time to go there. So to end my opening statement and to quote my dearest colleague Sanju ji, ये public है, ये सब जानती है, you cannot fool all the people all the time.
Okay, so Sanju Verma, please respond. I think he's used your words against you, but more importantly, what about the promises made in 2014? Many of them have not been fulfilled, and it's the contention of the opposition that the Prime Minister is conveniently forgetting about those promises.
Okay. There's a kahavat in English, imitation is the best form of flattery. Riju is a scholar, so I don't want to get into that debate. But I just have a few quick points to make. Every time people come on a television debate, and I've been doing a zillion debates on inflation, I say, be specific, let's talk numbers. Don't make this generic argument, "Arey, mehengai badh gayi hai." I will now give you some data and please listen to it very carefully. It won't take more than 20 seconds and this entire inflation bogey will be debunked. April 2023, when the new financial year started, retail inflation 4.68%, May 4.21%, June 4.87%. Yes, in July it went up to 7.4%. Wholesale inflation, April minus 0.92%, May minus 3.48%, June minus 4.12%, July minus 1.36%. My limited point is this. In July, everybody knows inflation went up because of the rise in vegetable prices thanks to flooding in large parts of Karnataka, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and inclement weather in large parts of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar too. And I want to now give you one very interesting data. This is the World Bank data. And please listen to this carefully. This is not data by Sanju Verma. Inflation under the UPA 2, 5 years of UPA 2. Listen to this. 10.9%, 12%, 8.9%, 9.48%, and then 10%. Now, last 5 years under Modi government, World Bank figures 3.73%, 6.62%, 5.13%, 6.7%, 5.1%. The average inflation of UPA 2 was 10.25%. That of the Narendra Modi government in last 5 years, 5.45%.
Okay.
Half of what it was under.
Let me also bring in Krishna Hegde of the Shiv Sena Shinde faction. Krishna Hegde. While yes, India may be better off growth-wise, India may be better off certainly also on the inflation front compared to some of the other countries around the world, and many of them more developed countries, more developed economies than India. But the fact of the matter is, the India Alliance parties are saying, just look at what has happened in the last 1 week since their Mumbai meeting. There are stories that India's name is going to be changed to Bharat. There are stories about special assembly session is being called. Then there is this whole story about one nation, one poll. There's a committee that's been formed under the former president, Mr. Kovind. All of this is happening because the opposition is saying that the Prime Minister and the BJP are rattled because of this India alliance. इसकी वजह से वो देश के नाम भी बदलने के लिए तैयार है.
Zaka, I must tell you, who's cooking up these stories? It's the opposition leaders who are cooking up the stories because they don't have much to do. Secondly, in 2014, the slogan across the country was "Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar." In 2024, it is still there as "Modi hai to mumkin hai." And why Modi hai to mumkin hai? Because Modi means Ram Mandir, Modi means Article 370, Modi means rights for Muslim women, Modi means Chandrayaan 3, Modi means 160 welfare schemes, Modi means subsidy and benefits straight to the accounts of the common man without any middleman. Modi means G20 presidency, Modi means uniform civil code, Modi means a new parliament building, and Modi means education and health facilities for the country. So what I'm trying to say,
Krishna ji, one second. You're right. I'm not contesting any
these
of
guys
the
are
any of the
tomorrow
things that you've
they-
listed. I'm not contesting. But Opposition Alliance is asking what happened to 2 crore jobs, what happened to 15 lakhs in bank account, what happened to bringing Lalit Modi and Vijay Mallya back. You know, these are promises that were made in 2014. Why are you conveniently forgetting that?
No, why did the opposition, that is the UPA, get thrown out in 2014? It was because of Commonwealth, 2G, 3G, Koila, helicopter. You name the scams, and there they had it, and they never came back after that. Earlier in 2014, they were UPA 1. Then in 2019, they became UPA 2, and now they've come back with a new name called India Alliance, or maybe the End Alliance. We don't know. Even after they had the first meeting, the AAP and the Congress fought over ordinance. After the second meeting, the AAP and the Congress fought over who will fight the member of parliament seats in Delhi. And after the third meeting, instead of announcing a prime minister candidate name, or at least a single convener name, Zaka, you are aware, they've announced 74 coordinators. That the secretaries of all the parties could have done it. There's no rocket science to announce 74 coordinators. And now they're going to have another meeting, I think, in September 20th. Are they fighting for 2024 or are they fighting for 2029?
Okay.
It's a big question.
So, Meeta Chakrabarti, I mean, cohesion. One second. Let me ask Meeta Chakrabarti. You know, when the voter is looking for an alternative, he or she is looking for a cohesive message that this is what the parties stand for. This is the messaging must be simple and cohesive. There should be a visible leader. Today, whether you like it or not, increasingly elections are fought in a very presidential manner. There needs to be a face. There needs to be a visible face. You can't have 28 faces. That's the point that the BJP is making, Meeta Chakrabarti. How are you going to resolve that? You've had 3 meetings so far. You've not addressed this elephant in the room.
Okay, before addressing this, can I ask my colleague from the Shiv Sena fraction, the gentleman representing here, as that he seems to be singing a lot of praise for Prime Minister Modi. Does he agree with what Prime Minister Modi said in Madhya Pradesh when he called Mr. Ajit Pawar a completely corrupt person? And only a couple of days after that speech, Mr. Ajit Pawar actually went ahead and joined the alliance in Maharashtra.
Ajit Pawar a corrupt person. No, he has not called. Please look at the facts.
He was talking about the scam in Maharashtra. There was a scam that was being referred to. We all know. I mean, people are not fooled. So stop misleading people. You spoke about 70 coordinators. He was referring to
Okay, let's move on to the next issue. Okay, Meeta Chakrabarti.
I mean, you have to stop fooling the people of India. I mean, people are watching and they obviously know.
Okay, let's move on to the next point. Moving on.
Having made this point, moving on. The gentleman spoke about 70 coordinators. Those are subcommittees. So let us keep the facts straight. There are subcommittees that have been formed for media and campaign management, for digital media.
Give me the name of your convener.
So we have 11 persons in the coordination team. Why are you so rattled? I mean, my only limited query is
13 people in the social media team.
So
13 people in the research team.
Why are you concerned about
there will be different teams and different members. One second. Let's be. Meeta, everybody agrees with you. One second, Krishna ji, one at a time. Otherwise, we won't be able to understand. The limited point is, I don't think anybody should have a quibble with the India Alliance for having separate teams and different members in those teams. Today, elections are a multi-dimensional fight. That's not the issue. Meeta Chakrabarti, the issue is, ultimately, when people vote, they are voting for a face. They are voting for a person.
I have only one leader.
That needs to be clarified on. Yes, Meeta
Okay,
Chakrabarti.
We have only
so
one leader.
so I do not
that is
like to
Narendra
be
Modi.
interrupted while I'm speaking.
Yeah.
If the gentleman is
Yeah,
done,
please,
then if
please.
you can give me some uninterrupted time, please, sir. I extended that courtesy to you.
Please, please,
Okay,
please
so
go on.
coming back to my
Please go
limited
on.
point, as I said, we are not here only to oppose one Mr. Modi or one Mr. Modi led Modi government. We are here to give an alternative socio-economic view. So we have an economic view vision, we have a socio-political vision where we do not want any segment or any strata of the society to feel targeted or to be felt left out from the mainstream of economic development or the social progression of the nation. That is our vision, and that is the vision that we are bringing to the table. Hence, so many subcommittees have been formed. Hence, this communication, hence, this coordination team has been formed with 11 members, not 70 members.
Okay.
And yes, we have representation from all our constituent parties. We have a large number of chief ministers and former chief ministers in the India Alliance. They bring along with them tremendous experience of governance, of politics, of understanding of India's reality. So we are bringing together a very experienced team, with very capable
one
leaders
message,
who are very
Sanju
strong in
Verma,
their
that
regional
Congress,
pockets,
you heard from
and
Meeta
we have
Chakrabarti
formed
just
a
now.
formidable political
You've heard from
formation.
Riju
Hence the
Datta,
BJP so matters.
other leaders of the India Alliance, that there is a mahal in this country where large sections are either living in fear or they are not being included in the economic mainstream, the progress that all of this country is seeing. How do you respond to that narrative with data that, you keep saying Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, but the opposition cites every instance where a person of the minority faith is targeted and saying that this is what is alienating a large number of people?
Zaka, let's be very clear. I don't want any bhashan from the Congress on minority welfare, because each time they speak about Bilkis Bano, I will remind them about Shah Bano, who was denied a measly monthly alimony of only 179 rupees after she was thrown out along with her 5 children by her husband, who happened to be a lawyer. And Rajiv Gandhi, he overshot the Supreme Court verdict. He completely undermined the Supreme Court verdict and brought in the Muslim divorce bill. So we all know that Shah Bano stands as an epitome of what the Congress has done in the name of vote bank and appeasement-oriented politics. Point number 1. Point number 2. I always speak with data. I don't believe in giving these generic statements. Hum to ye kar denge, hum to wo kar denge. We have 28 faces, blah, blah, blah. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, 31% of the entire amount disbursed to Muslims, not just allocated, mind you, disbursed. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, 33% of the entire corpus that has been given till now of 2,70,000 crore odd disbursed to Muslims. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, the entire corpus till now that has been disbursed, 36% disbursed to Muslims. And last but not the least, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, and you can check up the archives of the government. This is not data that I'm throwing off my hat. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, 37% of the amount disbursed till date, disbursed to whom? To the Muslim community. So we don't need lessons on minority welfareism from the Congress, but please, just indulge me for 30 seconds. I will repeat what JP Nadda said. It is fine to sit in the Grand Hyatt and say, oh, we will take on Narendra Modi. But you know what? You don't have the organizational strength of the BJP or Chunav jeetne ke liye, especially when it is a presidential style general election come 2024. As Nadda ji said, opposition वालों के पास ना तो नीति है, ना तो नियत है, ना तो नेता है.
Okay.
कहीं की ईट, कहीं का रोड़ा, भानुमति ने कुनबा जोड़ा. You have nothing apart from the one binding glue. That is your visceral hatred for Narendra Modi.
Riju Datta, no niti, no niyat, and most importantly, no neta.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, yes, I heard Sanju ji giving rave reviews to Nadda ji. Well, Nadda ji hails from Himachal. He could not even win Himachal. He is giving bhashan on the entire India. Good for them. Now, the second thing I will quote Sanju ji. I have not. I cannot do this.
Okay. One minute. Riju continue. Riju continue. Riju continue.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Secondly, when she is giving quotes, I will quote one of the tallest leader of BJP, that is Mr. Nitin Gadkari ji, who said गधे अभी घास खा रहे और घोड़े घास खा रहे और गधे च्यवनप्राश खा रहे, बाकी समझदारों के लिए इशारा काफी है. This is not my words, this is Nitin Gadkari ji's words. And now let me quote you facts and figures. CAG, India's chief auditor, has unearthed 7 scams. Bharatmala project, Dwarka Expressway, Ayushman Bharat, NHAI toll collection, Rural Development Ministry, HAL 150 crore scam, and the shameful of them all, Ayodhya Development Trust. Prabhu Ram se bhi ye log chura liya, and they talk about scams about other governments. And now when Sanju ji loves numbers, I will just finish off by quoting her some numbers. A brief comparison. May 2014, May 2023. Oil barrel prices May 2014 $105.71 US. Today it is $85.55 US. In 2014 crude oil price, in 2014 petrol was 71 rupees 41 paisa, now it is 101.94. Diesel was 55.49, now it is 87.98. So this is 14.2 kg LPG cylinder that is used in every household in this country. 2014 it was 410 rupees. In now it is 1103 rupees, after Rakhi gift 903 rupees. Total exports in 2002, 2022, 2023 as per World Bank data that Sanju ji quoted, $770 billion. And total exports in 2013, 2014 as per World Bank USD $651.22 billion. So India's growth in the last 10 years is only 18.26%.
Okay.
So don't fool people. Do not fool people.
Okay. No, ma'am, this whole fuel price. Yeah, I'm giving you time, but please also respond on this fuel price charge, because that's one thing that consistently opposition and people have also been saying, why are we paying 100 rupees per litre of petrol?
Okay, I will now answer. And Riju Datta should hear, Zakat is a famous kahavat. Aadhi adhura, jo aadha adhura gyan hota hai, little knowledge is dangerous. He quoted the data of 2013-14 exports, that was merchandise exports plus services exports, which was $600 billion. But in 2023, only merchandise exports is $770 billion. Point number 1. Point number 2, I'm a rated economist and I know a lot more than Riju Datta, with no offense to him. Yes, crude oil prices came down under the Modi government, but do you know what? India imports 86% of its crude oil requirements. Local fuel prices are determined by 2 things, and your audience needs to know this. I have written reams of paper on this. A, it is based on the Brent crude price internationally, and B, our local fuel prices are determined by the rupee-dollar rate, which is measured by the dollar index called the DXY. Now, while the Modi government gained from the fall in global Brent crude oil prices, what happened between 2014 and 2023 was that the dollar index went up from 76 in 2013 to as high as 115 last year, which means that the dollar index in the last 8 to 9 years rose by a hefty 51%, eradicating almost all the gains of a fall in global Brent crude prices. And despite that, the Modi government reduced, just give me 10 seconds, Modi government reduced excise on petrol and diesel by 5 and 10 rupees in November 2021, by 8 and 6 rupees in May 2022. But I have a question to ask of Riju Datta. You come here and on national television, you talk about oil prices. When oil, as in basically the retail fuel price in Gujarat, in Assam, in Uttar Pradesh, was between 86 and 92. Do you know it was as high as 125 rupees in Ganganagar in Rajasthan, ruled by the Congress, and it was 117 rupees in almost every part of West Bengal, which means that fuel prices in non-BJP ruled states were almost 20 to 25% higher. Why? Because Mamata Banerjee refused to cut down value-added tax on petrol and diesel.
Okay, I got to wrap up. 10 seconds. Yes, 10 seconds, Riju Datta. I got to wrap up. Yeah.
10 seconds. Yes.
You did not reduce
first of all, it was never. I cannot talk about Rajasthan. I will talk about Bengal. In Bengal, it was never 117 rupees. Highest it went was
117.
And I am telling it on national television to Sanju Verma. I am telling it on national television to Sanju Verma. Please pass my challenge to Pradhan Mantri that Bengal The center owes Bengal 1,15,000 crores. Give us our due, which is our due. You're not doing charity, our due. You give us our due, we will slash petrol prices by 20 rupees.
Okay.
Can you give us
All
our
right.
due of 1,50,000
We have to leave it at
crores?
that. But I think I want to go back to where we started this, and that is the money control interview that the Prime Minister has given, where he is clearly, at least he is very clear about how the battle for 2024, the narrative of it will be set. And that is, you have the Modi government, a strong, mazboot, clear-headed Sarkar, taking on this disparate, coming together, a coalition of parties, which again and again I keep saying this, yes, arithmetically, on paper, they are very, very strong. They are formidable. More than 60% of the electorate did not vote for the BJP in 2019. They voted for the India parties. But then, that is on paper. And elections are not fought on paper, they are fought on the ground. So there is the big question of vote transfer as well. Transferability more than transfer.